All right, so we're going to talk about this worksheet. The first thing we do when we get worksheets, the very first thing you want to do, I asked you, did anyone look at the sheet earlier? And the second sheet, did you flip it over and look at it? And nobody had. So I said, please do. And that's because that's where the questions are. Okay. You can see on yours with your copies there, my virtual kids, if you'll scroll down on your screen, you'll see questions here. These are the more relevant questions to what we'll be going over. But I have practice questions. Today, this is what we're going to do first. We're going to look at the practice questions. So read those. What is your teacher's name? What will students in this class explore? What will students in this class compare and contrast? How will students end the year in this class? So ending the year, comparing, contrasting, exploring, and of course, what's my name? What in the world is my name? Then, at that point, we're ready to discuss some things. We're ready to start reading. My virtual kids, you'll be ready to read, or you will be able to listen to me today, and hopefully I'll have my recording for you when you do this each time. All right, I start off with a welcome. I said, welcome to Mr. DeWitt's 7th grade social studies class. Let's see, I think I remember something about a name from one of the questions. So, as a student, I got my kids my highlighters. You're highlighting. At home, we can highlight like this. Can you guys see me? Okay. We can just highlight that, come up here to our little highlighter icon, and click it and pick a color. There's a name. I remember something about a teacher's name, so I'm going to highlight that. All right, 7th grade students will explore the social explore. I remember that word, explore. Okay, so as a student, I'm like, I remember that one. I'm going to highlight it. May or may not be relevant when I get down to the end. Students will explore the social, cultural, geographical, political, and technological changes that occurred after the fall of the Roman Empire, which that was the last thing you guys did or would have done if we would have been here last year. You would have studied the fall of the Roman Empire. Okay, I'm sure you guys over those couple of months probably had something about that. Maybe you got all the way through it. Dakota, he's new. He came from a new school. You came from a new school. I don't know. But the fall of the Roman Empire was the last thing that you had studied, and we're taking off from there. And we're going into medieval Europe and into early modern Europe, and we'll even study all the way into the exploration of the Americas. All right. So students will also study the period from the 15th to the 18th century. I don't know. I remember something about what time period they would study, so I'm highlighting that in case it's relevant. Including the Islamic world, Africa, China, and Japan. And remember, you got with your sheets out now, highlight, underline, but including the Islamic world, Africa, China, and Japan, but with a heavier emphasis on Western civilization in Europe during the Renaissance and Reformation. Do we know what the Renaissance is? Do we know what? Yes, sir. Dakota? Yep. Dakota's referencing the Renaissance fair, and that is kind of there were kings and stuff at that point. So yes, but it's particularly we'll study the way the art. We'll study the art forms of that time, and we'll study the ideas that came about at that time. It was the being intellectual became very being an intellectual at that time became very high art. People wanted to support artists, poetry, inventors at that time. You have something else to say? Well, King Arthur, as far as we know, was not even real. Probably real at some point, but that would have been, although it could have been between like the year 500 and 800, probably somewhere around that point. So that would have been about almost 1,000 years before the Renaissance, a long time before. So, but you got your kings and your queens. That's the mindset you're in, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. All right, so we got the Renaissance. We have Reformation. What does Reformation mean? What's a word we could recognize in that? What's that? What's the first part of Reformation? Is there a word that we're more familiar with in there, hidden in there? Reform. To reform. Make some changes. All right. So we'll go through the Reformation. So we will study that as well. That and then on into the Americas. Right here, students will compare and contrast the history and geography of civilizations that were developing on the continents during medieval times. Is there something I need to highlight in there? Yes, ma'am. Students will compare and contrast the history and geography of civilizations. Yes, and what made you remember that? The question. Yes, yeah, exactly. It said compare and contrast. So you can highlight that, and then of course that'll bring your eyes back to that later, and you can finish that out. They will examine the growth and economic They will examine the growth and economic interactions among civilizations, as well as the exchange of ideas, beliefs, technologies, and commodities. Students will learn about the resulting spread of Enlightenment philosophies and the examination of new concepts of reasoning toward religion, government, and science that continue to influence our world today. Students will analyze geography's influence on the development of these civilizations. This is important. I don't have a question on this that's relevant yet. Practice questions, but this is very important. Students, I'll say it again, students analyze geography's influence on the development of these civilizations as they continue their study of world history and geography. All right, so how geography affects civilizations, people, and the way they live together. How does geography affect that? That will be very important in this class. 7th grade students will end the year by examining the Mesoamerican and Andean civilizations. I remember that word, examine, so I'm going to highlight that one as well. That was in one of those questions. The Mesoamerican and Andean civilizations and the age of European explorations. Appropriate informational texts and primary sources will be used in order to deepen the understanding of how these civilizations influence the modern world. Right. In the year, remember something about that too. Go back and highlight that. Skipped over it, but yeah, I'm going to end the year by examining. All right, and down here I have a little thing here. Civilization is the condition that exists when people have developed the effective ways of organizing a society and care about art, science, etc. All right, so these are really our main questions that we want to be answering here in just a little bit. We'll go to our practice questions. What is your teacher's name? Do we have that anywhere? Anywhere in our sheets? And remember, focus on these sheets right now. Yes? At the top of the first page, it says, welcome to Mystery Defense. That's right, and you can just, the virtual student, you can just type in my last name. Whatever. You just something that you said that that's it. It was found at the very top. And you just type in my last name quickly so that you have a little note in there that when you go in to do the exit ticket, you can look back on there and say, what was his name again? DeWitt. So there you go. What will students in this class explore? So I think I remember something about exploration. So we can just slide up here. Where did I highlight? There's the word explore. That's what 7th grade students will explore. All right. Now, if I'm a virtual student, you can highlight that. I mean, this is just word for word, just flat out tells you exactly what you need. You could just highlight the whole thing. Just come down here and paste it down there, and you'd have that answer. So whenever it comes up on the exit ticket, you have your whole answer right there. Most of the time, it's not that easy. So this is our practice. So make it a little easier than usual. Does everyone see how we're just getting this? We're highlighting these. We can quickly go back to it, find these answers, and put in many times just notes. You'll be handwriting notes. In class, you'll always be handwriting notes until the point that I trust you very, very much, and I say, let's do things online right now. No worksheet, no copied worksheets. We'll just do everything online. But right now, for quite a while, handwritten notes here. For a handwritten note, an idea for that, instead of writing the whole thing, what will students explore? You might want to put social, cultural, geographical, political, technological. You could write that, and that may tip you off to what it is. Or you could write just the end of that. Changes that occurred after the fall of the Roman Empire in medieval Europe. Write pieces of that, or write little check marks, or not check marks, but little dashes. Sometimes the way I would take notes, I would make a dash with my pencil and write in something quick. I might write, and then come down. I'd make another dash, write something real quick. Whatever way works for you, that's going to help things stick to you when you do those exit tickets. Because I would like us to be able to do the exit tickets quickly once we get started on them. I will be judging you on those whenever I'm saying, all right, it's time to do our exit tickets, and so we can move on to the next lesson. And I will be watching you. And if you're having lots of trouble finding your answers, I will come to you and say, you need to take better notes on these. You need to annotate better. Write out the number of the question. That's on there. For my virtual students, you may do something like this. You may come to here where you've highlighted. That was end of year. What question was that? Was that 4? That was question number 4. You may come here. You can right click, leave a comment, and say number 4. And then you might write, let's see, number 4, rest of sentence. And that would answer question number 4 for you. And then, of course, you would click comment. And you would have that on there. And then when you, the way that works, when you scroll over that, it'll come up. If I click off to this one, you can leave another comment, which it's the same one, I believe. Also, number 4, comment that. You have a couple of comments right there. You can just get to that point of the page and look out and see, it's like, oh, there's number 4. That's where I entered number 4. Write that down quickly. Where did we get to? What will students in this class compare and contrast? Where do we have that one? Compare and contrast. There it is. Compare and contrast. So we know what they'll compare and contrast because it literally says it word for word. Compare and contrast. They will compare and contrast the history and geography of civilizations that were developing on the continents during medieval times. Again, you'll write down your notes, annotated around it. Write some stuff down here below it that's going to tip you off as to what it is. Again, virtual students at this point, you can copy and paste some stuff. Occasionally, you will be able to copy and paste, but again, do not get used to it. How will students end the year in this class? Somebody just tell me. How will we end the year in this class? Casey.
7th grade students will end the year by examining the Mesoamerican and Indian civilizations and the age of European exploration.
Yes, the age of European exploration of the Americas. That's how we'll end that class. She found it very quickly because she highlighted, took some notes. And it is Again, this is what we highlighted here. That's question number 4. And you could just scroll down here for the kiddos at home and bring it down. And you have everything answered for that part of it.